Hi, Ozark Electric. Hey, first things first, we're into August, and frankly, we're glad that July is over. You guys know as well as anyone, that some of our summer storms that came through were damaging, created outages for us. We had two pretty good events in the span of 3 weeks, and in between those two, we had our power provider, KMO, had some difficulty out of our Clarkson Springs sub, which created outages as well. Our estimates right now, and they're continuing to come in from those two storm events that were just most recent, close to 50 poles broken on our system. And when you look at a system that's our size and you see 50 poles, that doesn't sound like very many. Part of what happened during that is it wasn't simple poles. It wasn't just a single phase, two attachments on it type of pole that broke. We had double circuit pole break. We had 3-phase poles break. And so that becomes a greater challenge. And on top of that, all of the weather, all of the debris that needs to be removed to make a safe operating work environment for the guys to set up trucks and try to do this kind of stuff happens. In this last event that we had, where we get into the service hours, the guys, they've gone as far as they can go. And when I'm up here and looking in their faces and they're just slack and expressionless, it's time for him to go home and sleep. And so what we do when we get into that, so that you guys don't suffer prolonged periods of outages, we call and we get mutual aid. And that's one of the great cooperative principles, cooperation among cooperatives, where we can take a look at, okay, so who's a border co-op to us, or who's a co-op next door or within reach that maybe didn't get hit as hard. And so that call goes out to statewide. It is a very strong network. It's a very speedy network. Guys respond, to the call and say, hey, we've got guys available. What do they need? And so I want to say thank you to Laclede Electric in Lebanon for answering that call for us and sending us crews to go ahead and stand in the gap while we sent part of our guys home that had the longest service hours to get some rest so that they could come back and rotate in and be fresh. Because how we work outages in the utility industry and for Ozark Electric is, we work them as long as they can work to where they're not going to get fatigued. And the heat was, it was incredibly hot, and so fatigue is going to come quicker. And I don't want anybody to get harmed or put them in peril any more than they have to be. And so we send those guys home to rest. If we sent the whole lineman crews home and said, we're just shutting down for the day or the night, we'll get back at it tomorrow, that's not your expectation, and that's not how we do things. We send part of them home and replace that part with that mutual aid so that we can keep the same number, if not more, assets working for you in an effort to restore that power so that there's not any lag time in it. And so that's how, if you've ever wondered, our cooperative takes a look at how we get those events through and assessing what the damage is. And then there's a lot of phone calls and a lot of in-person visits up here at headquarters and at our other offices with myself, with our manager of operations, Steve Swearingen, and then our superintendents that are placed over operations at each one of our offices in trying to determine what we're hearing come in reports from our guys in the field on the damage. Are we going to need to call our contractors? Because we had our contractors dispatched and helping us restore this thing too on the line side of things. We had our contractors notified, and we bring those guys for right away. Because we're going to need to either bulldoze or use equipment to clear to get our trucks to some of the damage that's there. And so that's what goes into all of it. If you don't follow us, or if you do and you have friends, neighbors, family members that don't follow us on Facebook, that's a good way to track how we're making progress. What are some of the challenges and obstacles that are, limiting or prohibiting us from getting some of that stuff done? And so you can get a good view of what's going on. And so honestly, Facebook has been a great way for us to bring you into the co-op and be part of the team. Because, before Facebook and some of those things were available, you're just hearing from us and you know there's an outage. And we're trying to give you the best assessment we can when you call in on how long that is expected to be. There's so many variables that come into giving an assessment of how long we think it's going to be. You know, can we get to it? Are we going to need to have assistance to remove debris so that we can get to it? You know, how long will it take to load up and dispatch the equipment to replace the broken facilities that are out there? And then is it going to go according to plan? And then there are times when you get that addressed and then the next thing breaks. And so then you have to move to it. And so all those things become part of it. And I know that I've talked to some of you and you've told me, oh my goodness, I looked on Facebook and I had no idea, you know, that's what the guys are dealing with to try to get that repair or that replacement or the line fixed and put back into service. And so encourage folks to join in on that. Like us on Facebook, follow us there, and then you can see what's going on, because we've got staff and personnel that go out into the field to try to capture some of that so that you can see kind of what we're dealing with. And I appreciate and I want to thank you for the great patience that you showed during that time. I want to thank you for the comments and the prayers that were offered up for our guys' safety during that whole thing. From them, I'm going to tell you that they appreciate all of that very much. You know, some of them we have to make them go home because they want to keep after it, but we have to keep them rested so that they don't have a mishap in the field. And so that's how it works. And then in a restoration effort, we start from the substation with where the damage reports are, and we work out from the substation to try and repair those three-phase lines, which are our trunk lines that branch off to single-phase feeds to everyone. And so when we have damage on the three-phase, that becomes the priority. Get that repaired, because then if we get that repaired, we can bring on more people at once with that action versus going out to the single outages, repairing the down triplex or the one span that's down or the transformer that the fuse has blown on. If we repair those, we've repaired them, but in your mind you're thinking the repair's done and I should have power. If we do that, but the three-phase or the line downstream from you or upstream from you is not working, there's nothing to energize the repair we did at your home. And so sequentially, that's how we attack damage on the system, just so you know. Secondly, I'd like to thank you all for a successful annual meeting that we just held at the end of last month. And it was hot, but we had a great turnout. Entertainment was fantastic. Our registration was terrific. Everybody was in good spirits. We had an election that everybody took part in. We passed a bylaw that's going to be added to and updated for our bylaws for you guys. And we had a great day. It was nice to be everybody there. Have the cattlemen providing lunch for us. I gave a lot of thanks out. During my time speaking to you, we gave away some prizes. And so I just want to thank everybody for a successful effort. It is a team effort. It doesn't just happen. Our member services department with John Davis, they're laying that out logistically all year long. His staff, Grayson and Anna, do a great job of coordinating and making sure that all happens. And then they tap into the rest of our workforce, and we all pitch in to try to make that happen. The school's great to work with, and having that facility with air-conditioned opportunity to be inside during the heat that we experienced, and then also for the drive-through option, which was very successful this year too. Allows for you to move expediently through the process, register, vote, and get your credit and stay in the comfort of your air-conditioned vehicle, and then get on with your day. And so on behalf of the directors, I wanted to say thank you for how well that went. Speaking of directors, our elections brought forward, our two incumbents retained their positions on the board, and then we welcomed Ryan Post to join us, and it'll be his first year with us. He will actually come in next week because when we have a new director, our president, Steve Stone of the board, and myself set through and put him through an orientation, which kind of will be just a 30,000-foot view of some of the terms that we use, how the finances operate here at Ozark Electric, what's the complement of the workforce, what are the departments that are here taking care of things. We also take a look at acronyms and other organizations and strategic partners that we deal with throughout the year to try and help them fast track a little bit more of what we do and what they've joined in on, and so that they're ready for that August board meeting. So that'll be happening. And then, to kind of just wrap things up, I would just I'm hopeful that August is going to be a pretty quiet month as far as the storm fronts and outages go, because contrary to what some folks believe, we don't like outages around here. we like the delivery of power to your homes uninterrupted. We work throughout the year to find areas that are cranky or a little bit problematic and rectify those things so that we can deliver uninterrupted power to your lives. And so we're just looking forward to a great August and fall closing in on us and school starting up and you guys getting your students back in school, falling into all the activities that come with that. And so we wish you the best, and we thank you so much for sticking through us through the storm events that hit us, the understanding and patience that you afford us. We really do appreciate it. And so all of us here at Ozark Electric want to say thank you, and we'll see you next month.